1, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. In the place to be. In the place.
Mic check.
With the guns and all the power, and they like knock him over the head, and the next one steps up and they knock him over the head, and the next one, and eventually they realize how persistent Gandhi is, and they finally let him in. And so we may be going up against, strong forces, and we may be getting knocked in the head a couple of times, but we're right, and our story is yet to be told, and we all know it. Everybody in Lower Manhattan knows that we're in danger without a hospital, and that, I only realized maybe a couple weeks ago that not only were they closing the hospital in a matter of days, this whole discussion about an urgent care center is irrelevant for the next several months and possibly years. I mean, where is even an urgent care center? There's nothing at 12th Street and 7th Avenue. So, we know what's up.
Yeah.
But we need to make sure that the people who have the power know what's up, and we'll see what happens. So we'll tell our story. Hopefully, we'll step up to the power, step up to the plate, see what happens.
To those 500 people who showed up at the community meeting, the fact that you're going back in, that we're taking it to the wall in every possible way is really important to keep their spirit going as well.
Yeah. And I reviewed our summons and a complaint in state court. I mean, really, all we are asking in the state court action is that the court make sure that the Department of Health ensure a proper closure, a safe closure of a hospital. And part of that means 90 days notice and public input and transparency, but part of that also means that we don't find ourselves in the situation that we found ourselves in, which is that there's nothing. There's no health care in Lower Manhattan. There's no ambulances. There's no emergency care. Patients are scrambling to try to get the kind of services they need on a day-to-day basis. And I don't see how, whether it's the federal court in the bankruptcy court or whether it's the state court, that we are not entitled to have the Department of Health act in a way that is the best interest of the public. And we're going to just keep coming back on every level until we get that relief. Determined. Yes, it's a life and death issue. It's our safety.
And I like this week, because the wound care center there, I'm not going to Queens to see my doctor now.
You have to go where to see your doctor?
In Queens.
In Queens.
I could walk there.
My wife and I were standing in front of the hospital. This woman was 5 months pregnant. This just happened a couple of days ago. Approached us. She was on Friday. She's crying. Not only is her doctor not there, there's no answer on the machine. It is as if they've shuttered and disappeared, not because the doctors want to, but because everything is up in the air. They have no way to care for their patients. They didn't have privileges in other hospitals. It's a mess.
It's really terrifying. And the speed in which it was done, and the huge questions that linger about why and how it was done, adds to some of the cynicism and some of the kind of element that's so shocking to our senses as a community. So we'll see what happens.
Closure unprecedented in Germany?
I know.
I've never seen anything like it. The inpatient services, the overwhelming majority of St. Vincent's Hospital shut down in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks. Last Friday, they literally padlocked the doors and boarded up the windows and pulled down the signs. And they had voted on April 6th to close the hospital. It was shut down like that on April 30th. So normally, and kind of commonsensically, a hospital of that magnitude doesn't shut down until and unless the needs of the community are cared for. This is not just a business or a financial issue. And while the bankruptcy court's primary focus is to liquidate assets and to pay off creditors, what we're saying, and the reason we went into state court and now attempt to avail ourselves of bankruptcy court, is that there's a compelling state interest beyond or separate from the financial interests, and that's namely the public health and the public safety of Lower Manhattan. You know, last week there was a very serious scare on 42nd Street where there was a car bomb, and had that bomb detonated, we would have needed the resources that St. Vincent's had, and it wouldn't have been there for us. St. Vincent's is, a straight shot downtown. It has a level 1 trauma center, or had a level 1 trauma center. It would have been the place that many of those folks would have been transported to. And, it's only a matter of time before I think folks realize that what the community is saying is serious, and that we are not going to be able to function effectively, and we're really going to be increasing the risk to New Yorkers until we get our hands around basic issues around public health.
Yeah, this will pass. You mentioned the car bomb, but nowhere in the mainstream media were people really making that direct connection the way you just did to St. Vincent's importance or its recent closing.
Right. No, I think St. Vincent's is very important and a key piece to health and safety in Lower Manhattan. If I'm not mistaken, I actually think that they're designated as the hospital to go to in the event of a public health crisis. I believe that there's training there on public health and safety, and that they're a key part of the medical plan in the event there were to be some type of major problem in Lower Manhattan. I don't think an urgent care center would be able to provide those services, but more importantly, as we stand here today on May 6th, there's no urgent care center. There's nothing there. There's an empty building, and we hear story after story of people having to wait weeks to get dates for surgery, like Lee said, having to commute now to an entirely different borough to try to get basic medical services. There is a sense of total disorganization that seems to be an obvious result of shutting down a hospital that serves hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of individuals every year. And so, there's still time to try to do something. And every day that we continue in this disorganized fashion, we're opening ourselves up to potential vulnerabilities. So we're just asking that the court take a moment to ensure that there be some sort of oversight. You see, the Department of Health is supposed to be the oversight to an entity like St. Vincent's Hospital. But what we're saying, and the relief we're asking for, is that the Department of Health act in a responsible manner and properly oversee St. Vincent's Hospital. It hasn't been doing that, and we wanted to do that. And we believe that whether it's in federal court or state court, we should have a right to be heard on that issue and to make that case. What are the odds that we're going to be heard? Well, I don't think that, the court made clear that we were not allowed to go into state court, that all of the proceedings regarding this had to be presented here in federal court. So we'll go in today, we will state our objections. I think that the other side will make a case that we don't have standing because our requests are not based in monetary relief. We're not asking for monies. We're asking for equitable relief, and we're asking for equitable relief not from St. Vincent's Hospital so much, but from the Department of Health. Whether the court says under bankruptcy code, which is true, that in order to have standing normally in a bankruptcy proceeding, you need to qualify as a creditor. Now, we believe that under Section 101 of the Bankruptcy Code, we do qualify as a creditor. Creditors can be requesting equitable relief. They don't have to be requesting just financial relief. That being said, what we're actually saying is that if the court is exercising jurisdiction over our state court claim, and our state court claim was brought on the basis of a derivative taxpayer status, meaning that if I'm a taxpayer in New York State, I have standing in state court to bring an action to compel a state agency to act, that those grounds should then be sufficient here if the court is telling us, in essence, that here is where we have to bring those claims. We'll see if the court agrees with that position or not, and we'll go from there.